Are you a business owner who has hired capable people, created processes, and built a successful company, but you're still answering most of the questions, checking the work, and making far too many of the decisions? You built a team so everything wouldn't depend on you, yet somehow you're still in the middle of everything. If that sounds familiar, this probably isn't just a delegation problem. Your business may have grown faster than your leadership has evolved to support it. I'm Kelli Risse, Peak Performance Business Coach and Leadership Speaker. I help women step into their next level of leadership so their businesses can thrive without everything depending on them. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 patterns that can quietly keep you in the middle and what you can do differently to lead the next stage of growth. You already know the textbook advice. Delegate more. Develop your leaders. Step back and let the team do their jobs. But knowing you need to delegate isn't the problem. You probably know exactly what should come off your plate, don't you? The problem is knowing what you should let go of doesn't automatically change the hidden patterns that keep putting it back on your plate. You delegate something, but when it isn't done the way you would do it, you fix it yourself. You want your team to take more ownership, but when something goes wrong, you quickly step in and take care of it. You ask your leaders to make decisions, but you still review those decisions because you don't fully trust the outcome until you've looked at it yourself. That's where things get complicated. These patterns can be difficult to recognize because they often look like responsible leadership. There are 5 patterns I see regularly with successful business owners. The first pattern is overfunctioning. You do something yourself because explaining it, waiting for it, and checking it feels like more work than simply handling it. The second pattern is controlling the outcome. You delegate the work, but when it isn't done the way you would have done it, you revise it or redo it yourself. The third pattern is rescuing. Someone brings you a problem and you immediately know what to do. So you give them the answer, solve the problem, and everybody keeps moving forward. The fourth pattern is avoiding. You know you need to address an expectation or performance issue, but you don't want the employee to become defensive or the conversation to turn into a whole thing. So you keep avoiding it. And the fifth pattern is second guessing. You revisit decisions your team has already made because you do not fully trust the outcome until you have reviewed it yourself. Which one of these sounds most familiar? Here's what I want you to understand. These patterns are often connected to the same strengths that helped you build a successful business. You take responsibility, you care about quality, you solve problems quickly, you protect relationships, you anticipate risks. Those are strengths. But the way you use those strengths has to evolve as your business grows. Otherwise, your team learns a lesson you probably never intended to teach them. Check with her first. And once that becomes part of the culture, people begin hesitating before making decisions. Problems aren't raised until they become urgent. Capable employees wait for your direction instead of taking ownership. And your strongest people may become frustrated because they have responsibility, but they don't feel as though they have the authority to act. Meanwhile, you're exhausted because everyone is still looking to you. One business owner I work with had capable people in key leadership roles, but she still felt like she was carrying the entire business on her back. She was frustrated because she seemed to be the only one noticing what needed to be done. But whenever something went wrong, she stepped in and handled it, even though she wanted her leaders to raise concerns sooner, solve more problems, and take greater ownership. She had unintentionally taught them that even if they missed something, she would catch it. The solution wasn't simply to delegate more. She already had delegated responsibilities. She had to change what happened after she delegated them. She needed to stop quietly managing responsibilities her leaders were supposed to carry. And as she changed how she responded, they began taking greater ownership of decisions, risks, and solutions. She was still involved in the business. She was still the owner. She still had high standards. She just wasn't carrying all of it alone. So, how do you begin making that shift in your own business? Start by choosing the pattern you recognize most and changing your response when it appears. If you overfunction, identify one recurring responsibility that someone else can learn to own completely. Yes, training them will take time. It may even take longer than doing yourself at first, but don't measure delegation by how much time it saves you today. Measure it by whether the responsibility still belongs to you 3 months from now. And when a team member makes a mistake, don't quietly correct it yourself. Explain what needs to change and leave the responsibility for correcting it with the person who owns the work. If you control the outcome, begin separating actual risk from personal preference. Before revising someone's work, ask yourself, will this hurt the client, the team, or the business? Or is it simply different from how I would do it? If there's a legitimate risk, address it. But if the approach is simply different, consider letting it move forward. Let them develop their own judgment. If you rescue, stop making yourself the fastest route to every answer. When someone brings you a problem, ask, what have you already considered? What options do you see? And what do you recommend? Your role isn't to prove that you can solve the problem faster. Your role is to help that person become more capable of solving the next problem without you. If you avoid difficult conversations, calculate what the delay is actually costing. Ask yourself, what is this costing me, this employee, and the rest of the team every time I put it off? Avoiding the conversation doesn't protect the relationship. It usually creates confusion for the employee, resentment for you, and more work for everyone else. You don't need the perfect words. Clearly explain what you've observed, how it's affecting the work, and what needs to change. And if you second guess, resist the urge to automatically revisit or reverse the decision. Instead, help your team examine how they reached it. Ask, what factors did you consider? What risks did you identify? What outcomes are you expecting? If there's a serious risk they missed, explain it so they can recognize it in time. These shifts with these patterns will make you a better leader. Your role is no longer to make sure no one ever struggles or gets anything wrong. Your role is to help your people become capable of handling more without you. The leadership skills that helped you build the business are not the same skills you need to grow it. In the beginning, growth may have depended on your ability to solve problems, make decisions, and get things done. Now growth depends on your ability to help other people do those things well. That's what peak performance looks like in a growing business. It's about building a team that can think, decide, solve problems, and perform well without everything flowing back through you. So here's what I want you to do this week. Choose the one pattern you recognized most. Overfunctioning, controlling the outcome, rescuing, avoiding, or second guessing. Then notice when it happens and respond differently one time. Before you can lead a bigger business, you have to become the leader capable of leading it. What's one responsibility your team technically owns that still regularly finds its way back to you? Tell me in the comments. And if you're ready to identify and change the hidden patterns keeping you in the middle of everything, send me a message with the word leadership. This is Kelli Risse, helping you win in business.